You have probably walked away from a conversation feeling confused, like something happened, but you could not quite name it. You gave in to something you did not want. You apologized when you had nothing to apologize for, and somehow, by the end of it, you were the one feeling guilty. That is not always confusion. Sometimes that is manipulation. And the most dangerous kind of manipulation does not always look cruel from the outside. It can sound calm. It can look caring. It can hide behind jokes, silence, affection, concern, or even tears. Today, we are going to look at 7 psychological tricks manipulators use on you every day. Not always loudly, not always obviously, but quietly, consistently, and deeply enough to make you question yourself. The first trick is gaslighting. Gaslighting does not usually begin with someone screaming at you. It begins with small moments. You remember something clearly, and they tell you it did not happen that way. You feel hurt, and they tell you that you are being too sensitive. You bring up a pattern, and they say you are imagining things. At first, you defend yourself. Then you explain yourself. Then you start checking yourself. And after a while, you no longer ask, "Why did they hurt me?" You start asking, "Am I the problem?" That is what makes gaslighting so psychologically damaging. It does not only change what you believe about the situation, it changes what you believe about your own mind. Psychologist Robin Stern has written about this as the slow erosion of a person's reality through denial, distortion, and emotional pressure. And when your reality keeps getting questioned, your nervous system begins to lose safety. You may feel tense before speaking. You may rehearse your words. You may keep evidence in your mind, not because you want drama, but because you are afraid your truth will be erased again. The second trick is guilt tripping. Manipulators are very skilled at making you feel responsible for their emotions. They do not simply say, "I feel hurt." They say, "You made me feel this way." They do not say, "I'm upset." They say, "After everything I have done for you, this is how you treat me." And because most people have empathy, this lands deeply. You start feeling selfish for having boundaries. You feel cruel for saying no. You feel guilty for choosing peace. Leon Festinger's theory of cognitive dissonance helps explain what happens inside the mind. Your brain struggles to hold 2 painful thoughts at once. I am a good person. And someone says I hurt them. To reduce that discomfort, you may give in. You apologize too quickly. You abandon your own needs. You say yes when your body is quietly saying no. And the manipulator does not need to force you. They only need to make you feel guilty enough to force yourself. The third trick is intermittent reinforcement. This is one of the most powerful psychological traps. It happens when someone gives you warmth sometimes and coldness other times. One day they are kind. The next day, they are distant. One moment, they make you feel special. The next moment, they make you feel invisible. And because the affection is unpredictable, your brain starts searching for the pattern. What did I do wrong? How do I get them back? What version of me makes them love me again? Behavioral psychology calls this a variable reward schedule. It is the same principle that makes slot machines so addictive. The reward does not come every time. It comes just often enough to keep you trying. In relationships, this can become emotionally addictive. You are not addicted to being hurt. You are addicted to the possibility that the warmth will return. And your nervous system stays on alert, waiting for the next sign of love, approval, or relief. Dan Siegel's work on the nervous system reminds us that emotional safety is not just something we think. It is something the body feels. So when someone keeps pulling you close and pushing you away, your body may stay in survival mode. You may feel anxious, restless, hyper-aware, unable to relax, even when nothing obvious is happening. Your body is not being dramatic. It is trying to protect you from emotional uncertainty. The fourth trick is love bombing followed by withdrawal. At first, it feels beautiful. They give you attention. They remember small details. They make you feel chosen, understood, and deeply important. They may talk about the future too soon. They may say they have never met anyone like you. They may make the connection feel intense, rare, and almost impossible to replace. And if you have ever felt unseen, neglected, or emotionally alone, that kind of attention can feel like oxygen. Attachment theory, developed by John Bowlby, tells us that human beings are wired for connection. We do not just want love. We need emotional safety, consistency, and secure bonds. So when someone floods you with affection, your nervous system may begin to attach quickly, but then the warmth disappears, the messages slow down, the compliments fade, the patience turns into irritation. And because you have already bonded with the version of them from the beginning, your mind starts chasing that version. You think, maybe if I try harder, they will come back. But real love does not make you chase the person who hurt you. Real love does not create panic and call it passion. The fifth trick is playing the victim. This one is difficult to notice because it often looks like vulnerability. They tell you about their pain, their past, their trauma, their disappointments. And because you are human, you feel compassion. You want to understand. You want to be patient. You want to give them space to heal. But then something changes. Their pain becomes an excuse for the way they treat you. Their wounds become a reason they never have to take responsibility. Their suffering becomes a shield against accountability. Every time you bring up your hurt, the conversation somehow becomes about their pain. And suddenly, you are comforting the person who hurt you. Aaron Beck, the founder of cognitive behavioral therapy, studied patterns of distorted thinking, including the way people can frame themselves as helpless while placing blame outside themselves. Pain is real. Trauma is real. But when someone uses their wounds as weapons, they have crossed a psychological line. Healing explains behavior. It does not excuse harm. The sixth trick is isolation. Manipulators do not always say, "Stop seeing your friends." That would be too obvious. Instead, they make it sound like love. I just like it when it is only us. Your friends do not really understand you. Your family is always interfering. They are jealous of what we have. Slowly, your world gets smaller. You cancel plans. You stop sharing details with people who care about you. You begin to rely on one person for comfort, validation, and reality. And the smaller your support system becomes, the more powerful the manipulator becomes. Dan Siegel talks about the importance of integration, connection, and healthy relationships in shaping the mind. Human beings need different relationships to reflect different parts of who we are. Friends remind us of our freedom. Family may remind us of our history. Community reminds us that we belong somewhere beyond one person. But when those connections are weakened, identity starts to blur. You may stop knowing what you think, what you want, what you used to enjoy, who you were before this relationship. And that is when manipulation becomes easier. Because isolation does not only remove people from your life, it removes mirrors that help you see yourself clearly. The seventh trick is the silent treatment used as punishment. This is not the same as taking healthy space. Healthy space says, "I need time to calm down so we can talk better." Punishing silence says nothing, but makes you feel everything. It is cold, deliberate, heavy. It makes you feel invisible. It makes you desperate to repair something, even when you do not know what you did wrong. Carl Rogers believed every person needs warmth, acceptance, and emotional safety to grow. The silent treatment does the opposite. It withdraws connection as a form of control. And for someone with abandonment wounds, this can feel unbearable. Your nervous system may panic. Your mind may race. You may send long messages. You may apologize just to end the silence. Not because you were wrong, but because the emotional distance feels too painful to survive. That is how the silent treatment controls people. It teaches you that peace only returns when you surrender. But awareness changes the pattern. The moment you can name what is happening, manipulation loses some of its power. You stop asking, "How do I make them understand?" and start asking, "Why do I keep explaining my pain to someone who benefits from ignoring it?" You stop confusing intensity with love. You stop confusing guilt with responsibility. You stop confusing silence with power, and you begin listening to something you may have ignored for a long time. Your body. Because the body often understands manipulation before the mind does. The tight chest, the anxious stomach, the careful words, the fear of their reaction, the feeling that you are shrinking in order to keep the peace. These are not random reactions, they are signals. Healing from manipulation does not mean becoming cold. It means becoming clear. Clear about your boundaries. Clear about your memories. Clear about how someone's presence affects your nervous system. Clear that love should not require you to abandon yourself. A healthy person may disagree with you. They may feel hurt. They may need space. They may make mistakes. But they do not repeatedly make you question your reality, carry their emotions, chase their approval, or earn basic respect. The deeper truth is this: manipulators do not only try to control what you do, they try to control how you see yourself. They want you uncertain. They want you guilty. They want you emotionally dependent. Because a person who does not trust themselves is easier to control. But the moment you begin trusting your own inner voice again, something shifts. The spell starts to break. You remember that your feelings are information, your boundaries are protection, your peace matters, and your reality does not need approval from someone who benefits from distorting it. Sometimes, healing begins with one quiet sentence inside your own mind. I know what I felt. I know what happened. And I do not have to betray myself to be loved. If this video connected with you, comment which part felt most true. And if you enjoy deep psychology content like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more videos about human behavior, emotions, relationships, self-awareness, and the hidden patterns of the mind. See you in the next one.